என்னை கொண்டு விடு, என்னை கொண்டு விடு, என்னை கொண்டு விடு, என்னை கொண்டு விடு.
Tell me, what was the inception for this story? You wrote it and directed it. Where did the idea come from, and what made you want to tell it now?
Very interesting. So, a film set usually has people at the end of the tether in a certain way. Like a producer wants to make the film within a certain cost, and they have a certain control over the film, and a filmmaker wants to make it. So you have like really intelligent people at the end of the tether being emotional about something. The filmmaker about the control, the actor about their image, the producer about the money, the studio at stake. So that just gives a great space for conflict. And I love exploring human emotions. I think that is what I love at this stage. And I found this perfect setting for it, that films now. So the reason for it to be made now is, I think we're in a place of filmmaking where we can get lazy, where we need not think about it as what's the best process. But back in the day, unless you're the best of something, you cannot be doing that. Unless you're the most charming person, the best actor, you cannot be an actor. Now I think anybody can be an actor with a phone in their hand, right? So for me to talk about greatness, right? Like I wanted to talk about greatness, the cost of greatness. So I had to go back to that era where I had these people really charm me over. Like, say, like the best comedian that I ever know, the best actor that I ever know, they're all from that era. Like nobody I know can beat them. So I thought, okay, now that's a great setting for me. And when I'm talking about the colorful lives of these people when they were making black and white films, I thought that just had great conflict, great irony in itself.
And you've touched upon it a little bit, but the genre of movies about movies is nothing new. What did you hope to bring to your film to give it something fresh?
So the movies about movies is a global thing, but unfortunately, in Tamil cinema, the place I come from, it is a sort of a taboo. No film has been successful making about film. So I had a lot of difficulties in mounting this. So for Tamil cinema, for where I come from, it's very fresh from the beginning. And I know how in a Hollywood, movies about movies is really lapped upon, and I'm a huge fan of that. So uh, I think the newness. So for here, it's fresh in itself, but for the world cinema, what I was trying to do fresh was, um, I think the impact of the real lives, what it does, the impact of the real and real. Uh, that is something that I wanted to push as much as I could in this. I don't know how it's been done in other movies, but definitely that's because I did want this film to travel. I really wanted it like a huge festival, and the possibility of this being made in other languages as well, because it's a subculture. Like we all love films, and like when I would talk to Rana, my producer, we always felt that, well, this could be made in Korea in their own way, with their own twist, right? So I think the universal thing here is what an artist goes through. Like generally, an artist is a psychoanalyst, needs to be a psychoanalyst, right? This is a psychoanalysis of psychoanalysts. So I think that is what I thought was universal that could travel.
Yeah. And life imitates art, which is kind of at least one theme in the film. What are some influences that have impacted you that you think maybe are reflected in your personal style?
So I have a lot of inspirations. And I mean, I'm making a film about movies, so it just shows how much I love movies. Right? So the influence for Kaantha would be, um, Paul Thomas Anderson has a huge influence in my writing. And the one film that I would really fall back upon when I knew, when I was really like thinking structure or core or anything was Prestige by Christopher Nolan. That in like Warring Artists, is that entertaining when people ask me? And I had an immediate answer. Well, Prestige was, right. Prestige is entertaining usually. So it's the canvas, it's how you paint it. So these were the two influences I would say with writing. With imaging, with blocking, with how I deal with emotions, I have a lot of influences. Actually, in the national copy, I have tributed them. Like one of the first things is inspired by the works of a couple of filmmakers from here, and the kind of filmmakers who will always influence me is PTA, Stanley Kubrick for his brilliance of composition and sound, and like Kubrick to me is the benchmark for filmmaking, like to like all aspects of it. Kurosawa for writing, Wong Kar-wai for image. So like yeah, broad range. Kaantha, I would add one more, which is Billy Wilder for Double Indemnity and Sunset Boulevard. I will never forget what I felt when I was watching Sunset Boulevard and Bad and Beautiful and all these films. You know, like it's very special that uh, like how it could make for an emotional thriller, which is what Kanta is.
And yeah, speaking of the visuals, the film definitely has a lot of visual flair. We get lens flares, we have our director crossing light, and just so many cinematic shots. How was that process working with your cinematographer, and how much was your influence on this is what I want? What was that creative process like?
Great question. So we had a lot of discussions, but I think it's a lot of his genius in the technicalities of it. So our references were there is a Tamil film called Andanal, that day. It means that day, and so we took a lot because we wanted a very local influence as well. We didn't want to make an American looking film here or a right. So what is that local latch that we can get on that we could get, and that was Andanal for the black and white and the fact that we had such uh, a glorious black and white era. So how did they paint their canvas? The choice of colors, the choice of artwork at that point. So we realized that they had a lot of gold, purple, and green were the choices to bring black and white. So every country, I think, every cinematographer from that era in that region had to play with what colors they had to find that beautiful black and white imagery, right? So down south here in India, they had like so it's various shades of green and gold for the highlights and purple as a contrasting color, and that is what influenced our choice for the set. So my sort of direction for Dani was I love Broken Embrace as a film, which is Almodovar's film about films again. And I realized that it had an impact on me. And I think in all the jamming, in all like in the various kind of us talking about cinema, both of us are nerds about cinema. And I think somewhere both of us agreed that something in Broken Embraces does what we both are thinking. And so like, okay, the way green clashes with the reds and like to what levels, so what sort or how much is it set design, how much of it is set work, and how much so all these like costume, what's costume doing to it. uh, I think being able to like identify a common ground, and then he went deep down into like what are the filters, what are the lensing choices, and he is a teacher, so he actually teaches editing and cinematography, and we would have like lengthy discussions, and then it would end up being a session. And I think you can really see the crafty hands in the way he's done it.
Oh, yeah. Another style thing that stood out to me in watching the film, and I'd like you to talk about it, is there is such beautiful music throughout. We get our, cinema musical scenes, which just blend in so nicely within those world of the movie and within, cinema from India. My question is later towards the end, there's some kind of a little more contemporary music. Tell me about that choice and reasoning behind that.
Yeah, super. So I've always worked with Janu Chandar, who's my also my best friend. So when your best friend is a musician, then you tend to listen to more. Your understanding improves because I came with very little understanding of music 10 years back. There is this great composer here called Ilayaraja, and I would only listen to his scores. And I had my favorites. Like I didn't know why I was moved, but I knew that certain scores of his. So I, for the past 10 years, it's been a journey with him where I understand. I used to manage him,
Hmm.
so I and I learned a little bit of drums and guitars, little bit. So I enjoy music. So when I listen now, I'm a little bit more informed. So definitely, we wanted to bring the noir influence in the music. So we had a choice of either being Puritan and going that era, or like to appeal to now. So I think the 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 influence that we both share is Johnny Greenwood. I always feel Janu has a lot of Johnny Greenwood in him. The kind of scores that he does, like in There Will Be Blood, like but be a part of a band and do like Nine Inch Nails and become electronic as well. So I knew that I had that in Janu, who has melodies, was a huge strength in melodies, but also be able to like know what sound does. So like synth, so like what we could do with synth is something that we both enjoy. It's very difficult to get that exact thing, and like composers like Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross take months to design a film, right? Like and so I think both of us really enjoy that, like the score in Social Network, for example, something that really gets into the bear of emotions, how this modern synth sounds can do that, because we generally can believe that it's only through like instrumentation and orchestration that you can really echo that, but we love how like minimal sounds can do that, like create tension. And we explored that a lot in the documentary series that we made before this called The Hunt for Veerappan, which was an epic saga. And we experimented a lot on sound. So both of us knew that this blending was going to be interesting. That like have this native huge sounds, huge like I love the cello. I love using cellos, and he knows that. Like, I mean, he's a guitarist, but when I go to him for score, so he now is like, I'm going to learn film scoring. I'm going to learn this because you, that's what you always like and you want. So film scoring, but this modern. I think that's a great choice we made, and I think
Hmm.
my actor producer Dulquer had a great influence because he would always ask me, "What are we doing about the score? Can we go the Great Gatsby way?" Right, which is like a film in the 1920s, but it has like rap from Kanye. So I think all these inspirations really helped to find us this.
Nice. What do you hope audiences take away from your film?
I think there is a lot in this film to take from, like what the characters have gone through. So I wanted that final. That's the reason that it's towards the end that when this man is asking, "Why do we make films?"
Hmm.
and so if it's about humility, then how humble should we be? So it is a story of two great artists who had a sort of a professional misunderstanding that became a personal rivalry, and they did something to this innocent, right? Like that harmed this innocent in a sense that both of them were in love with. So, like what ego does, like this film was dissection of ego and creativity for me. Like creation comes from a place of surrender, but once it's done, there is this ego that comes that it's mine. So, what happens to these people, right? So, I think when you look at these people and you're like, when these people faulted here, I better not fault at these
Hmm.
things. And if they can pick up the phone on somebody they have and uh, like a misunderstanding that
Hmm.
can, I mean, the line, the dialogue that Kumari says, which is, "What in the world cannot be solved with a conversation," right? that is what I think. These are the things like that. I think a lot are there. It's very close to, like, there are these things that you can take for your own life. But yeah, like, I think it's for the viewer, for the taker. I was directing towards this, like, what ego can do. So let's avoid it. It's so difficult. Like, um, the film actually had its started with a conversation with one of my favorite cinematographers, where I really like his work, and I was telling him that he's able to be this good because he has no ego. And he said, "Well, ego is not destroyed one day; it's destroyed every day." And that was the starting point for me. So somewhere, if that realization can happen, like, let me crush my ego. That's what I. That's a hope.
Nice. And then speaking of audiences, what does it mean to you now that we're in this global era where films can be made anywhere in the world and be seen by anyone around the world?
I mean, it's a great thing. It's a great thing that it can. Like, see, I'm now talking to you. Like my first interviews are with from the other side, right? And I love that. Like and also because my first film that I made with, like, less than like $10,000, uh, I found the film found its destination in California. Like, the first screening was in the California theater. The first feedback that someone gave me, I still remember, like, in the Q&A, there was this lady from the aisle, like, she had to literally shout. She's like, "Did you write this?" And I said, "Yes." And she's like, "Keep writing." So the first feedback that I got was from California, asking me to keep writing. So, and the fact that the film, like, Netflix bought it because it won the audience award in Cinequest. So
Congratulations.
no, I'm not, like, yeah, Kaantha is
I
already
know,
in
but still,
Netflix.
yeah.
I'm talking about my first film. My first film found an audience in California that gave me the wings, right? So
Yeah.
I think it's great. I think it's great.
Wonderful. Well, Mika Nandri, and thank you
Oh,
so much.
okay. Thank you so much. So sweet.